Now, there is no denying that early access games are a gamble. However, in this case, I think Police Simulator Patrol Officers actually has more game in it than many fully released titles currently out there. Today I'm going to explain why you should be putting this on your wish list. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel, and today we are talking Police Simulator Patrol Officers. Quite a tongue twister saying that over and over again. Now, generally speaking, early access titles I don't like to review, and so I'm not going to call this a review. Reason being is that frankly it's not fair to the developers. People start talking about bugs and things that are wrong with it. Well, no shit, Sherlock, it's not released yet. So we have to be sure that when we talk about these games that yes, we can point out the bugs, but we don't necessarily think that this is how the finished version of the game will be. And so my purpose today is really to discuss, is it worth your investment? And I will share with you the bugs, and I will share with you things like gameplay and sound and the things that you can do and the graphics, because I want you to have that information. However, based on what I'm seeing already, absolutely this game, Police Simulator Patrol Officers, is worth your time and worth your investment. So let's crack on with what this game is. Well, as you can see, and as you can probably tell by the title, pretty straightforward. You are a rookie cop out on the beat. You start off just walking the streets of a fictional city called Brighton, and from there you can kind of build up your characters, patrolling, dishing out parking tickets, you name it. And as you go through, you then get into a patrol car. More and more things open up, more and more things that you can do. Now, when I say more and more things that you can do, that really does undersell it, because there is a stack full of things that you can do, and I'm still discovering stuff that is getting added to the game, such as pulling over a car, doing spot checks, DUIs, checking blood alcohol levels, checking drug levels, checking the licensing, going on the computer that you've got access to for the police department, and checking if there's an open warrant for these people. I mean, honestly guys, it is absolutely huge in terms of what can be done already at this early stage in its development. And if you've ever had this kind of narcissistic kind of sense that you just want to dish out parking tickets to people because they have a minor infraction of parking on the curb, hey, this is the game for you. If you want to go around and be an absolute idiot and asshole, you can do that. Or the game does give you the option to just give people verbal warnings, so if you so wish, and I kind of like that choice that you get. Now, the clue is in the title, it's Police Simulator, and so with that, I do think the game developers do wish you to take this seriously. I don't think it's the sort of game you go around just shooting people. It's absolutely not that. I think it's about very much upholding the law and being a good stand-in police officer. So each day is probably about 15-20 minutes or so of your time. Calls will come in, so you can decide whether you take them or not. So for example, I might get called to a minor accident. I have to go to the accident. And what's so great about that is that once you are there, there's various things that you need to do. It's not just a case of speaking just to the drivers. You have to then speak to the witnesses. What did they see? You have to try and work out who might be responsible. You've got to take photographs of the accident itself, look at the damage. This is all to ultimately go into the report that you then have to give to each driver. Now, along the way, you might have something that they're calling intuition in the game. So at the top of the screen, it will let you know if you can kind of smell alcohol on one of the drivers, etc. And then from there, you decide what you want to do. Now, you will get negative points if you start searching people or searching their vehicles, or arresting them for no apparent reason. It all has to be done above board, and I quite like that, because it means that there is a scalability to each situation, and you are the judge of it. Now, this is where some of the kind of quirky things that start coming in, and like I say, early access title, so let's not assume this is how it will be in the final game. But for example, you will come across people that will have multiple things that they've done wrong. There could be an open warrant for them. They may be they may have an illegal weapon on them, and their car might not be registered. So that's where the tricky bit comes in. What do you actually give as your reason to kind of why you're arresting them? At the moment, the game really only allows kind of one conviction, if you like, or one arrest warrant that can be provided. versus kind of stacking up all the different things that they've done, but that is something that hopefully will get implemented into the game. Likewise, there are some funny things that happen. You'll be searching for someone, and they start fleeing away from the scene. As you go up to them, you sort of go all badass on them. You sort of taser them. For some reason I keep getting minus points for that. I think I'm supposed to just threaten them at first, but once you've tasered them, there's this kind of weird conversation that takes place after, where it's almost been forgotten about, and you just kind of have a nice normal, "Can I see your ID?" and they're like, "Yes please officer," "No worries officer," and it's just all a bit strange. But hey, again, if they can add in some different dialogue, that would be fantastic, just to kind of make it a little bit more rounded. Now, one of the things I would say about the gameplay, it's not challenging, and I haven't really come across that whatsoever. Now, I've really enjoyed my time with this, simply because of the sheer number of things that you can do. And like I say, I haven't explained even half the things that you can do and all the options that come up before you. However, it's just not difficult. I've not died. I don't know if you even can die in this game, if I'm honest with you. Perhaps the most tricky thing I've found so far is when I go to pull someone over. There is a bug at the moment where cars do this erratic kind of braking, and you end up right up their arse and have an accident. But like I say, I've not really struggled with the game itself. I think it's quite self-explanatory, and so hopefully that is something they look at, where maybe you'll get more minus marks, or potentially suspects will start fighting back a bit more and fleeing, and if you sort of run after them, they'll fight you, as an example. So I'd love to see more challenges in this game. Now, Acer Interactive, or Acer, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, they actually have a roadmap of all the things that they're bringing into the game, and I've had a quick look through. Love the fact they keep that updated, and so my hope is actually they are going to stand by what they're planning to do, and the roadmap looks great. So again, I think this is something that's going to really create waves in the simulator genre if they can keep it up. Now, there was a co-op game on here. I've not personally got any friends, so I don't get to play co-op. However, do check out Jeff,
and if available,
I've never said his last name, Favagano.
I'm on my way.
You'll research him, you'll come up on YouTube. He does a lot of playthroughs on this with his mate. It looks great fun, so do look at that and check that out and kind of get a feel for it. Now, graphically, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. I mean, it's got some lovely lighting effects when it's night time, and you got your lights, twos and blues going. It's got some great kind of reflections that take place. It feels pretty realistic in terms of how it looks. I think the car models look okay. The character models are so-so, but not terrible. I mean, I've certainly seen games worse than this, that's for sure. I've just, ironically looked at Prison Simulator, and I think that's pretty bad in comparison to where we are here in early access. It's got some lovely little touches as well, like depth of field. It's got some nice details to it as well. I mean, the fact that you have to zoom in to license plates and that they actually do read clearly in a game like this is wonderful. I think so often developers try and cut corners on things like that. So, the way it looks, the way it plays in terms of the graphical sense is good. Animations, I've had this, I say this a lot about a lot of these games. I've just made a video that talks about this very thing, about the simulator genre in general, and that is the rigidness of how they move, the jankiness of these characters. I think my own character just doesn't feel natural. I'm hoping for final release they can kind of make my character not feel like it's a test dummy that's walking around. It's very stiff, doesn't look good really for me, so hopefully that is something that can be worked upon. And then I briefly touched upon the actual animation of the car itself. I think there are some weird things that go on. It feels like there's always a wheel spin on the back tyre, no matter what, no matter how slow you're going, it sort of starts off in that way. Everything feels a bit aggressive in the way that the animations are done when you're driving, and certainly when other people are driving as well. So that would be good if they can kind of just tweak that a little bit as well. Now, sounds are decent. I don't normally have much hope for sounds in games like this. So far, I've been pleasantly surprised. The voice acting is not terrible. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's certainly not terrible. I like the fact that they've gone down the path of voice acting for everything. The sirens sound good. The cars that go past sound good. just generally it's nice. I mean, it's not going to win loads of awards, but if they could just add a bit more richness to those sounds, that would be great. I think the one thing that is missing for me on a sound perspective is that if you pull a taser or a gun, it doesn't feel like there is that kind of scary energy that I can imagine would be associated with that in real life. It doesn't feel like there's a frightened environment around you, and so I'd love if they kind of heighten that sense of fear ultimately from both the suspects and indeed the police officer that is calling out their names, etc. Now, as for bugs, this is a tough one for me to talk about because, as I say, this is early access. I don't want to sit here and shit on a studio that simply hasn't finished the game. So everything I say from here on in is not a negative. Absolutely not. I can only say it's a negative if this was full release. I'm only mentioning this, however, is for those of you who might be looking to invest in this in early access. You know, what are you getting yourself in for? So in that sense, yes, there are bugs, probably more bugs than you're used to for simulator games. However, I will say none of them I've come across have been game breaking. You know, everything there is quirky and it does need fixing, and they will fix it, but nothing has kind of really ruined my game at the moment. So some of the bugs that you might come across will be that you arrive at a scene, it's aggravated assault, you're trying to work that, you call in an ambulance, and you know the ambulance shows up. Then what happens is that as the ambulance shows up, it seems to cause another car accident, and so as you've dealt with the thing that you're trying to fix and you go back to your car, there's this massive car accident that you now have to fix. However, there are people that are standing through cars will kind of disappear eventually. It's basically just one big mess of collision detection which has gone horribly wrong, so that would be good to fix that. I've mentioned that cars will just suddenly brake in front of you or sort of swerve violently out the way if you've got your sirens on, etc. So they need to be tweaking the AI, I would say, in a big way, and with that is obviously the suspect's AI and their behaviour and kind of why they flee and what they do once they've been caught. It just needs a bit more work done on it there to make it feel like you're in danger, and then that's what I don't feel at all in this game whatsoever. Now, I'm running this on an RTX 3080, so I consider that pretty high spec. It's strange that the game runs pretty well in third person mode, but the second you go into first person mode in the vehicle, it just seems to grind to a halt. So clearly some optimizations need to take place there as well, and some weird things are going to happen. You know, you're going to get stuck in chairs, you're going to get stuck behind a desk, you're going to find yourself just, you know, on top of cars here and there, and look, it happens, but nothing, like I say, that's really going to truly ruin the game for you. And so for that reason, it's something that, you know, I feel that you could play this and still have a really good time. So ultimately, is it worth playing? Is this a game that has enough content now for an early access buy? Yeah, it really is. It's actually surprised me how much depth there is to this in terms of what you can do already. And like I say, I haven't done all the calls, and I haven't done all the options yet, and I'm still discovering stuff at the moment, and so I absolutely love that. And I think, you know, the police computer is a big part of that they've added, which then opens up a whole wealth of things that you can kind of arrest suspects for. So there is so much to do here already, and hopefully this isn't going to be one of those releases that is, you know, forgotten about or even released early. I just want them to keep on the same path that they're doing at the moment, because honestly, if they do that, this potentially has got the power to be the best simulator game, I think, that's been ever released. I really do think that it has so much potential, so many things they can do with it. It probably needs another good year though in the oven to keep baking, and they just need to keep on what they're doing. But do check it out, guys. Honestly, it's really good. You won't be disappointed. And for an early access title, I mean, Christ, it feels like it's got more polish than, you know, things like GTA Definitive Edition. So do support the developers on this one. And with that, guys, thank you as ever. Please subscribe and speak to you soon.